Today's show is brought to you by locally owned and operated Highland Rim Speedway. Visit their website at highlandrim.com.
Well, coming up next on Pit Pass, we'll be without Larry Woody this week. He's off hunting, but we have found the good game. We'll talk a little bit about NASCAR. What are they going to do about the Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano situation? And Norm Benning said, what? But the best part of the show, coming up, we'll have James the King Climber and Buddy Williams from Highland Rim. All that coming up on Pit Pass.
From the family grocery hauler to fire-breathing racing engines, the one name you need to know is USA Motor and Machine, located at 51 Cleveland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-726-3725 or at usamotorandmachine.com.
Talkapolis, the social media TV network for your city.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome in to Pit Pass. I'm Joe Williams, and no, this is not Larry Woody. This is Buddy Williams, one of the co-owners up at Highland Rim Speedway. No relation.
No relation.
We talked about this. We want to get that out front.
We have.
Early.
We have. I appreciate you getting me on the show. This is kind of like in Winston Cup when the team owner calls and says, will you fill in for the driver?
Yeah.
Well, they called for me to fill in for Woody. I can never fill Woody's shoes, but I'll do a good job of holding his seat down.
Now, we're going to tell on Larry just a little bit because I understand Larry is out in an adjoining county to Nashville doing a little turkey hunting. I told him yesterday when he explained that to me, I told him, I said, buddy, I got to tell you, I'm glad you're going to be out there and I'm going to be here because otherwise I'd be watching my back all day.
Which one's the turkey?
Well, it's probably me.
Okay.
You know, every Thanksgiving I become a little cannibalistic.
That's a good way to be.
What a way to start a racing show. We are here to talk about racing nationally and, of course, here locally. And I guess the biggest story that we've watched for a couple of weeks, we took a week off too, and everybody's kind of been watching, Buddy, the final laps of the last race where Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano looked like it was going to be a great battle, looked like they were going to give each other plenty of room, and then Joey went running up the hill.
After a pretty well boring sleeper of a race on every other track looks like, they got down to the end, and I thought, man, this is going to be good. There's 10 people wide. There's everybody going for it. Poor little Joey's car's overheating. What more drama could you ask for?
Well, that's just it. Was it too much drama? I almost wondered at a point if it wasn't created, especially with the late caution.
Well, Bob Harmon's no longer with us.
Well,
and Bill Donahoe's no longer with us.
That's true.
So it could have been created by NASCAR, but they're not near as good as the local promoters were.
The worst part about this, of course, in the melee that ensued, Kyle Busch gets a win. I thought he was extremely gracious. I got to tell you, Kyle Busch has been on my bad list since the guitar incident. And will continue to be on my bad list to an extent because of the guitar incident. For those of you who don't know, we'll have tape later, a couple of weeks. But he has done an excellent job this year of being what a sponsor wants. There's been a couple of times he's been sharp in his comments, but I'm okay with that. I mean, the situation's called for that, and it was okay that he did that, I think. He won that race, and he was, like, hey, I'm watching him. And I'm sure you've been as a driver, you've been in that position. I'm sitting in third watching the top two, and I'm going, come on, baby, go on and hit him.
They're going to wreck, and I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's that feel like?
It feels good until they actually do wreck in front of you. And then you wonder, oh, am I going to get caught up in this wreck? Or all of my plans going right down the tubes?
Well, they were fortunate enough that the big wide racetrack. Long story short, Logano comes down and he pops the wall, catches Denny. The worst part about this is that in the end, Denny Hamlin takes a head-on shot to the inside wall where there is no safer barrier. And I think it's fair to say that we're going to see a lot more inside wall safer barriers now.
I think that's going to get fixed.
Yeah, on big tracks, especially on the major, the 1.5-mile, 2-mile tracks. But in the process, it also fractured a vertebra in his back, and now he's going to be out for about 6 weeks. Buddy, now that you're in charge of a racing facility, I'm going to go ahead and put you on the line. on the spot, rather. My initial reaction to this was, if Denny's out 6 weeks, probably Joey ought to sit for 6 weeks. My initial reaction. What do you think about that?
Initial reaction would be that way. And we love the controversy. We love the one-upmanship. But when you start using a 3,400-pound car as a weapon, then things change. And I feel certain that Logano did not mean to injure anybody.
No, but he meant to wreck him.
He meant to wreck him.
And he was very clear about that post-race. You know, you use a car as a weapon. I hate to use the term weapon, but once you get to those speeds and those big racetracks, that's what it becomes. You think Martinsville, where they're going this week. You think Bristol, the Old North Wilkesboro. You think of Highland Rim. You know, a little bit of bumping is kind of expected. And, you know, the really good ones, and I've seen really good ones who could spin you out on purpose and make it look like they never touched you. This wasn't even that close.
No, it was pretty blatant that he got up into him, and even if it was an accident and he was driving over his head and got into him, the fact remains that he got into him. It was the after-race comments that pretty well set the tone. Well, he got what he deserved. Well, he didn't deserve to get a broken back.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, that's where I think I got concerned, and I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen any action taken on that. But it would be kind of hard to take action on that since they haven't taken action with Tony Stewart, who has become, believe it or not, Stewart has quickly become kind of an elder statesman, if you will. Taken somewhat of the role that has been held before by others to just kind of tell it like it is and do what he thinks he needs to do. Now, he's a little more obvious about it. He'll go take care of business as he tried to do on pit road. And, you know, no action's been taken against Tony for stepping in there and trying to get to Logano. You know, Logano, obviously, it's a good thing he's a race car driver because he ain't much of a pitcher because that water bottle didn't come close.
Logano needs to learn to keep his helmet on when he gets out of the car. It cuts down on blows to the head.
Yeah, Tony went after him about a restart issue, and a lot of folks question him on it when you see the replay. You know, 6 one, half dozen the other. The thing that really surprises me in this situation, buddy, is that I haven't seen a lot of drivers lining up to support Joey Logano, and I've seen several lining up to support Tony Stewart. Is Logano now the odd man out in that garage?
Seems to be, but I think a lot of that comes from Logano's lack of track time and lack of experience with these guys. You know who you can race with, you know who you can block, and when a new young upstart comes in and kind of takes the old Dale Sr. deal.
Yeah, but I mean, given the fact that, you know, he was at Joe Gibbs for 3 years, but 4 years before they I mean, counting his nationwide time, before they finally let him go. And the rumor was he wasn't going to be there last year, but they kept him through last year, and then he went over to wherever he's at. I mean, right now I don't think it matters, right? I mean, it's Joey. I mean, that's the thing. The whole concept. No longer is there a team concept there. It's all on Logano. Yeah. As long as he's been around, I'm not sure young upstart still qualifies.
He is kind of experienced and should have learned something these last few years.
You'd think.
You'd think.
Well, the other concern has always been with Joey that there were certain outside factors, we'll call them, maybe part of his entourage, that were an issue before to the point NASCAR banned him from a pit area and garage area for a while.
I think there was an issue with his dad and somebody fighting recently.
I've never mentioned who it might be. All right, we go to Martinsville now. Hamlin's not there. Do you think a little track like Martinsville, you know, Tony Stewart said, I'm going to bust his, yeah. He can't do, you know, Martinsville's the perfect place to do it, but he can't now. If he touches him.
Yeah, it's on. That little threat probably cost Tony a chance to pop him a good one.
I hope there'll be somebody else in line. A couple other notes on NASCAR. The Junior Nation excited. Dale's still on top of the points. second week in a row, as Aaron pointed out to me earlier, he said, well, they didn't race last week. Doesn't matter. That's 2 weeks in a row. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on top of the point standings. And, of course, the one he kind of brought to the party, Danica Patrick, running for Rookie of the Year, running with
Mr. Stenhouse?
Yeah, her boyfriend. I guess that's the term.
Yes.
Yeah, at that point in their lives, I don't know if boyfriend, girlfriend's the right term, but whatever the term is. He's 16th, she's 26th.
Must make for a nice Sunday dinner conversation.
You know, I to be honest with you, I really feel for them. I mean, if they're trying, outside of the racetrack, if they're trying to have a life, it's got to be just that much tougher when they go to work and compete against each other.
But you know the old saying that all promoters use, any kind of publicity is better than nothing.
Spell my name right.
So publicity of romance going on, both going for Rookie of the Year, I'm ahead of you, you're ahead of me. It should play well with publicity people.
I'm going to say this and probably shock a lot of people, but that's probably the last time I'm going to mention Danica and Ricky. You know what? Let them have their private life.
Who?
Yeah, leave them alone. Of course, if some people would, if Woody were here, I'd go Danica Patrick, and he'd go, who? That's right, like having an owl sitting on your right side. Final part of this first segment. We're running a little bit long, but what about poor Norm Benning? You'll remember back during speed weeks at Daytona, NASCAR suspended Jeremy Clements indefinitely for using a word that's a no-no word now. Notice the start of that, no word, you know. And it seems that Norm Benning now has gotten into an altercation, if you will, electronic altercation, either on Facebook or Twitter or text messaging or something, and posted a picture where he used the full word, not just the starting letter of N. He used the whole word. Now, here's a guy who's been struggling on to make all the truck races, et cetera, been around the sport for a long time. Buddy, if NASCAR does not suspend him, they're going to have to answer some questions to Jeremy Clement.
Yes, they are, because they set the precedent with him early on in the year, and that just was absolutely inappropriate thing for anyone, much less someone who's a so-called NASCAR star, to use. It looks bad for the sport, and I think there's a clause that they have detrimental actions detrimental to the sport.
Of auto racing. How many times have I typed that line out? But can they afford to suspend him and lose a truck? Truck Series not as healthy as it used to be.
No, it's not. And while we're talking about Truck Series, let's be pulling for one of our Nashville heroes. Clay Greenfield is going to be there at Martinsville. And he's a local boy that's made good in the Truck Series, and we all need to get behind him and pull for him.
And the important thing about Clay is he's doing it on his own, basically. I mean, they're running the shop out of Springfield. The family's doing it. It's not like he's got, $800,000, $2 million sponsorship. He's literally doing it himself. Had a good run going at Daytona. Had a little bit of an engine. Matter of fact, led the fastest in the last practice.
Yeah.
Had some engine issues late in the race. I think he wound up 15 to 20, and at 17th, I think, is actually where his finish was. So hopefully, going to Martinsville with as much experience as he has at the rim and out here at the fairgrounds, that short track hopefully will be good for him.
I certainly hope to see him do well, and we're all going to be pulling for him.
Yes, we will. Of course, I still contend that short tracks are the great equalizers. All right, we've gone too far on this segment. When we come back, I'm going to be excited to bring into this conversation a man who has been around, has been racing probably longer than I've been alive. I'm not sure he's going to take too well to that one, but James the King Climber will be here. We're going to go all the way back to Smyrna Speedway. That and more coming up next on Pit Pass.
Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Pit Pass. I'm Joe Williams, along with our special guest host, Buddy Williams, over there on the other side. Buddy and I are not related. We both come from East Nashville. Should I tell that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that okay?
I'm proud of it.
Okay.
I'm very proud.
Well, me too, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, you notice that we are sitting at the right hand and the left hand of the king, ladies and gentlemen. James, the King Climber. James, over the years, I've had an opportunity to interview you, introduce you, and I've tried 100 different ways to do it. But no matter how it gets done, people don't respond until they hear the king, and then they know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. Tom Powell's, he put that on me a long time ago, and I try to stay up to it. You know what I'm talking about? That's the reason I'm still racing.
I'm going to say, you plan on racing this year?
Yes, I went to Mobile, Alabama, and picked up a Pork City car. Picked it up to take the parts off it, put on a 55 Chevy. Then after we got to pushing around the shop there, me and Tommy said, "Hey, boy, let's make you a good car run this year, Daddy. That you going to help?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to help." So we put it together. So we got a pretty decent car right now.
He's a little better than pretty decent. He was at practice last week, and he was about the second fastest of the late models that was there.
Why am I not surprised? How long have you been doing this?
Started racing in 1963 in Smyrna. Then I moved to Highland in 64. It's been a few years.
You know, I was kidding earlier about you've been racing longer than I've been alive.
Probably have.
And that's within about 4 months, yeah. That's scary.
Well, anyway, they said I'm too old to race. I ain't quitting. That's just the way it is. I mean, Saturday after I took that car up there and the car performed like it did, which it's more there, but I was taking my time, getting things, because Tommy set the car up. He said, "Don't touch nothing. Just come back and tell me, how you felt." And I had one little problem, but it was a big problem, but I thought it was a small problem to start with. Had a little bit of funny feel in the middle of the corner. And when we come back, check the car out, that was my dealing, not tighten it up. That's it. Nervous, you know what I'm talking about? Tie rod in, it fits on the spindle arm. The boat had backed out, and that's where I was getting at. So we go back. I'm hoping we'll be back up on top.
James, you started in 63.
1963 Mother's Day.
Where'd you race then?
Smyrna.
I started Smyrna.
Right.
Then where else have you raced around here?
I went to Highland, Nashville, Bowling Green, Whitesville. We went to Charlotte and run late model sportsman there in 1970. The Roundup car. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sure did carry it down. It run good, but transmission come out. And I went to Kingsport and run there in that 300 Falstaff car. I run second for a long time till a transmission come out of it too. You know what I'm talking about? That was a hobby car, but it was a fast car though. You know what I'm talking about?
Fast car, I'm telling you.
Yeah, back in them days they called them hobby cars, and Falstaff Brewer wanted us up there to, advertisement. And so we carried it up there, and doggone run pretty good. Harry Gant said he couldn't believe a car could run around that racetrack on track treads.
So explain what track treads are.
Track treads are 3-cap tires. They was 8-inch tires. And we run pretty daggone good at Kingsport.
You're running 8-inch tires. Everybody else was running what, 10s?
Yeah. Back in them days, we had money, but we didn't have the time to put them on because we was running late. And the Falstaff car sponsorship wanted the car there.
Okay.
But once they kept crying about the tires and made us put new tires on it, they stepped us up big time.
So you only got faster when you went to the 10s.
Got that right. Harry Gant said he'd never seen a car run so fast he allowed you put new rubber on it. And L.D. Ollinger, me and him had a little run in here at National Speedway a lot of time. He said, I don't like to race it with a climber. He'd rub, I rub back. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, he wasn't used to that.
No, he sure wasn't.
He was L.D. Hollinger was the hot dog.
So he sure was. And when he come in here, in Nashville, you're going to have to, that's where it's all about.
Best car you ever drove?
Best car I ever drove was number 10 car, the Chevelle. What is it, Chevelle? I can't remember whether it was a Chevelle or Ed Bent was asphalt company. Okay. Gary Jennings was crew chief. Okay. That was a good car.
When was that?
That's back in the 80s. Now, really and truly, the best car I ever drove was that 55 Chevrolet at Fulton Stutz and Jerry Knight put together. You know what I'm talking about?
I was wondering why you didn't
make no difference where we went. There was a trophy going to be headed that car. You know what I'm talking about?
And that car's still around. We are using that car as a ride-along car at our track. Mr. Clymer is taking people for rides now.
And that's what got me all back into racing. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, let me tell you something. They love
baby.
it.
No, baby. No.
I
would not get in a car with him driving on a racetrack. You got to be kidding me.
There was a young kid standing in line, next ride out. Well, I broke a tire rod that night, going down the front straightaway, and it spun and back down the chute. And they said, do you really want to ride? If he gets it fixed, I hope he spins out me in it. You know what I'm talking about? That's how good it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what we get under the gear too?
Just spin him out?
No, I didn't spin him out. I spin out a lady. She said, I love it. I didn't spin it on purpose. I'll take it back. I didn't spin it on purpose.
In 1983, end of the season at Nashville, when we were getting ready to go to the late model stock cars. And basically what was happening was the Grand American cars at the time we were replacing with this new late model division. And a lot of the guys in the quarter mile sportsman division were going to move up. So we planned an exhibition race. Wasn't a whole lot of money in it, but an exhibition race. A 10 or 15 lap deal where we brought the sportsman guys from the quarter mile, put them on the big track, and took the Grand American cars from the big track, put them on the quarter mile. And there were like 15 of these sportsman cars that wanted to run the big track. And we kept calling, you know, for the Grand American cars are going to run the quarter mile line up. You look down, Clymer's sitting there. We keep calling, when it's time to bring them out, Clymer's the only one that had the guts to go out on the quarter mile track. And it was a 2-lap deal because the second lap he buried it down into one so hard he turned her around 3 times coming off of 2. You remember that?
Yeah, I had to back out of it. I carried it there too deep. I carried it too deep.
But you were the only one who had the courage.
Yep.
To take your car and go to the quarter. Why? What?
I don't have no idea, but I was sure looking forward to that. I thought Darryl was going to be involved in that too.
Yeah.
2 or 3 more. I was looking forward for it. They was outrunning us on the big track. Let's get it on the short track.
You like the quarter miles?
Oh, I love a quarter mile. I love Highland Rim Speedway. Let's put it that way. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm going to say, Highland Rim's kind of really been your home.
Yeah, it has.
I've
raced there for many years.
Yeah.
And when I started riding the people around, the racing fans, it made me feel more better about myself, which if I had to give up the late model or a 55, I stay with a 55, riding the people. That's just the way it is. That's how much I like that place up there. And we got some people there now, Joe Buddy Williams, Roger Cunningham, and Jerry Criswell. These people are going to put Highland Rim back where it's supposed to be. It's going to get it done.
Good.
Thank you. It makes me feel good for the King to endorse us. That really makes me feel great for somebody with his stature and his reputation to be impressed by us.
We got to take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap this up. Still bunches of questions for the King. We're still trying to find his crown at the moment. He won't carry one, but we used to carry one for him somewhere. We'll talk about that when we come back to Pit Pass.
Today's show is brought to you by locally owned and operated Highland Rim Speedway. Visit their website at highlandrim.com.
And welcome back, everybody, to Pit Pass. Final segment this week. I'm Joe Williams. Larry Woody will be back with us next week. He's out, hopefully, procuring dinner. I think Larry's out doing a little hunting.
The turkey shooting turkeys.
Yeah, you know, got to be careful. Buddy Williams, one of the 3 co-owners at Highland Rim Speedway, filling in this week as our co-host. And here in the middle, James the King Clymer. And we've been talking to James, and we talked about how much you love Highland Rim.
Got that right.
And you think, you feel like that with the new owners, everything is going in a great direction.
I do. I really do. They told us, they set the rules up, and the races they had last year, the track went smooth there. There were a few little disagreements. You don't have that.
That's normal.
I ain't go along there. But as far as getting rough house and that, and not going to have it, and that we understand it. You know what I'm talking about? If we do, we know what's going to take place. That's just the bottom line of it.
Now, short track, weekly track, quarter mile, probably over the years there's been some roughhousing, as you put it. You ever been roughhoused?
Yes, I sure had, by Bobby Allison.
Really?
The only one, Bobby Allison. We had a 100-lapper at Highland Rim, and Alton Jones was leading it, and I was running second. And Allison got on the radio telling somebody I was holding him up. I was all over Alton Jones. I couldn't be holding him up, but it wasn't long. I was held up all right. He stuck me up on top of the wall in the middle of 3 and 4. And God is my witness, I wasn't holding him up, but they had to get a crane to hold me up and get me off the wall. A crane now. Did I make history?
Probably.
I sure did.
Did you go have a discussion with Mr. Allison after the race?
You know, there's a man brought me a pair of vice grips, told me to put up beside him. I got out of the one race car into a 55 Chevy. Said, put up beside and throw that vice grips at him. I said, no, I ain't going to do nothing like that. If I was holding him up, he'd done what I'd done. You know, talking about trying to be nice about it because the pit crew was mad. So after it's all over with, he said, you still mad at me, Climber? I said, no, I ain't mad at you. I said, but I'll be down there in Huntsville one of these days. I can pay you back. Well, you know, he was bad at Huntsville.
Did you?
No, I didn't. I went down there and raced with him, but I didn't put him. I liked old Bobby.
Have you, in your 50-year career, have you ever, you know, put a bumper to somebody just
all the time?
I mean, with the intention of.
Hey, you have sometimes you tap them 3 times. That's way back in our days.
Okay.
If we tap it 3 times, the 4th time you gone. You're gone. And hey, everybody respect it. You know what I'm talking about? That was a rule.
But have you ever?
Oh yeah.
You know, not just tap like in you're gone, moved out of the way. I mean.
Yeah, I've been putting.
The old story about putting you out of here.
I've been putting the wall, and I've been putting them back too.
Have you ever put anybody on the wall?
Yeah, I paid them back. Yes, sir, Ray. Yes, sir. I put them in the wall.
Who's your biggest rival?
Well, back in our days, George Bennett. Me and him would put on a show. We'd get fined with a NASCAR for fight, and Bill Idaho would give our money back. And the stands would be full on Tuesday nights to see what we're going to do again.
Donahoe ever tell you to do that?
Huh?
Donahoe ever tell you to do that?
No, he didn't. No, you know he was going to tell you to do it.
I need to ask him.
He going to hit.
Well, I know a story on Donahoe. He got Charlie Binkley and Walter Wallace in a fight one time, suspended them for 2 weeks, and then paid them to go to Birmingham and run the 2 weeks that they were suspended.
Hey, he was a promoter, buddy. Bill Donahoe was a race promoter.
So, but
everybody liked him. First day I met him, he scared me out of my skin almost.
You?
He called me up to the office. Well, you gonna race with us, Climber? I said, yep. I heard you're pretty tough. I said, well, you know, you hear a lot. Bill. He said, well, let's see how tough you are. He gave me a silver dollar. I won't never forget it. He said, hold that up right there. Hold that up right there. I want to see how tough you are. He pulled out a big 38. He didn't have no bullets in it. He had a blank in it, but I didn't know it. And it went off, and I dropped it and jumped back. He said, I didn't think he was scared of anything. I said, man. I thought he'd blown it out of my fingers. I swear I did. He scared me to death. He said, I'm gonna buy you, go along with you, all right. I went back to the pit, started racing. And hey, I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
That's a new one I can add to my list of
Donahoe could shoot too. Now I'm telling you, he was a market on shooting.
You carrying? You packing?
No, sir. No, sir. We do not allow weapons in our track of any kind.
Just your security officers.
Just our security officers.
Wow.
I sure like to thank Climbers Bonding for helping me out, get this car ready.
Now let's talk about Climbers Bonding. That's your boy Tommy.
That's my son, yeah.
And
I'll tell you, boys, he's turned out to be one race car driver.
Yes, he has.
He can sure handle it.
Won championships just like you at multiple racetracks.
He's on his way. He's going to Highland this year and run for the Sportsmanship Championship. And if things don't work out for me in that new Camaro, he'll probably be running for late model in the championship.
The only thing that scares me about Tommy was finding out that a couple of years ago, Tommy, your son, is a grandfather.
Right.
That makes you a great-grandfather.
And I've got 2 great-grandsons, or twins, which I've got 4 great-grandkids. But I've got 2 of them. I call them Frank and Jesse James. They tough as they come, son. They're going to keep the Climbers name alive, racing and fighting in the cage.
Oh, no. All right, so what's your plan?
Well, my plans are going up Saturday, and we're supposed to ride some people around that didn't get to ride the last time. And I'm going to test my car again, and I hope I can pick it up some more. If I do, I'm going to make a decision where I'm going to run the opening race. Because if I run the opening race, I'm going to stay with it and run as much as I can.
Sure.
But if I don't, we'll have Tommy in there and run for the championship.
Now, buddy, we're getting ready to get real serious at the rim. This weekend is media day. Opening day is the next Saturday. What's planned for this Saturday?
Yes, it is. This Saturday we're having media day. Media day is going to be from 10 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Then we're going to have open practice from 1 to 4. We're going to cut practice off at 4 so everybody can get a chance to come down to the fairgrounds and watch the 200-lap super late model race that they're having. But we're going to have a big time. Everyone's invited up. Pull Apart, one of our track sponsors, is giving away 100 free hot dogs to the first 100 people there Saturday. So we'd like to invite you up. Clay, we'll get Clyber a hot dog and put him in his ride-along car.
That's right.
It'll be big.
Hey, I'd like to say something about Marty's Automotives there in Rockville. They helped me. Springfield Plumbing, German Potees. I mean, I got a lot of help. And I don't want to let them down because I got a good car and if I can't produce, you know what I'm talking about?
I hear you.
We'll make that decision before opening night at Highland Rim.
Which is April the 13th.
April the 13th.
So this when we say this week, we're talking about this Saturday being April the 6th.
Yes.
And then on the 13th, you guys start the 51st season.
Yes, it is. 51st season of excitement at Highland Rim. We're looking forward to it. All of our divisions have a ton of cars that are registered in them. We're up into the high 20s in the number of sportsmans, the high 20s in the number of super stocks. We have a bunch of late models. It's going to be a show to behold when we open up, and Saturday we're going to give you all a preview. If you'll come up there and watch, you're going to get to see what we're going to be putting on. We have 3 of the old Darrell Waltrip replica cars. We've got the Bud car, the Pepsi car, and the Mountain Dew replica car.
Yeah, your Mountain Dew. There's a good one.
Man, had to wake him up this morning with a Mountain Dew, you know.
Well, I've gotten old. They're diets now.
Oh, yes, sir.
You ready for this thing?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I worked all winter putting that car together, and when I got up there Saturday and the way the car looked, and Jerry Criswell really liked it. That's one of his ARP bodies.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 2 up there. White, number 25, he's going to be a threat. He was fast. Somebody say he's running a 13 flat, but that's awful fast.
13 flat on a quarter.
I might have to look somewhere else besides the tires, you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit of nitrous.
Yeah, what was it? And soaked tires? We're laying on him.
Mr. Clymer.
Wayne White, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Number 25, Wayne White. But he's got a fast car. He's a good driver, you know what I'm talking about? A good person to race with, but things can change in 30 laps.
Things can change in 30 feet up there.
Yes, it can.
Buddy, thank you. James, thank you for coming in today.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
buddy,
it greatly.
And
buddy, thank you for filling in.
Thank you, and I'd like to leave like I always do. At Highland Rim, it's excitement. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge.
I love it.
Saturday night.
Buddy
live.
Williams from Highland Rim and James Clymer, the king, visiting this week on Pit Pass. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week, and you never know who's going to be sitting in these seats. You know, as far as that goes, you never know who may be sitting in this seat. That's a whole other story. No, we'll see you next week, right here on Pit Pass. We've had too much fun.
Enjoyed it, man.